Chosen one, you think you know the truth, but the reality is far more disturbing. For centuries, the world has been drowning in the great deception, manipulated by fake leaders, twisted by false religion, and blinded by hidden truth buried in plain sight. Most will scroll away, too afraid to face the awakening, but if you feel this rising in your chest right now, it means you are chosen. This is not just a story. This is spiritual warfare. You have been deceived not by accident, but by design. Every headline, every false promise, every whisper of fear was crafted to keep you asleep. But today the curtain is pulling back, and your divine calling is awakening. Ask yourself, why have so many been trapped in confusion for generations? What powers orchestrated this deception? And why are you feeling this pull in your soul at this exact moment? In this video, you will uncover how the great deception has shaped your reality, why the chosen ones are awakening now, and how the gifts of clarity, resilience, and divine strength are being prepared for you. Your voice matters. Your destiny matters. Comment below if you feel this stirring, if your spirit refuses to be silenced. Like to send this message further into the darkness where others are still asleep. Subscribe so you never miss the revelations prepared for the awakened. This is not entertainment. This is your invitation to step into truth, to embrace your divine power, and to prepare for the storm that is already here. Stay, because what comes next will shake your soul and light up your destiny. The world at a crossroads. Look around you. Everywhere the surface glitters with promises, but beneath the shine lies decay. The world stands at a critical crossroads, and you can feel it in your bones. Corruption is not just a whisper in politics. It is the very bloodstream of governments and corporations. Fake leaders rise with polished speeches, yet their eyes betray the hunger for power, not the desire to serve. Hidden agendas coil like serpents around laws, media headlines, and even the pulpits of false religion. You were not misled by chance. You were deceived by design. Every image, every slogan, every carefully crafted narrative was meant to bend your mind toward compliance. Imagine the man who sits in his home believing he has freedom because he can choose between channels, between parties, between voices. But every channel, every party, every voice comes from the same poisoned source. This is the prison of illusion, the appearance of choice, but never the substance. It is like drinking salt water when you are dying of thirst. Your lips wet, but your soul still parched. You feel it, don't you? That gnawing hunger that the system cannot satisfy. This deception has created a generation that scrolls endlessly, chasing stimulation, but never finding clarity. Entire societies wander in circles, blindfolded, while the elites tighten their grip. Yet within this darkness, there is a whisper, a sacred nudge calling you to wake. The chosen are not here to cower. They are here to see through the veil, and in seeing, to tear it down. Think of history. Empires built on fear and false promises always crumble. Rome paraded its idols of power, but beneath the marble, corruption devoured it. Babylon strutted with wealth and armies, but its pride was its downfall. So too today, the false systems built on lies tremble. You stand at a threshold where your choice matters. To remain asleep is to surrender to decay. To awaken is to reclaim your destiny. Which side of history will you write your name upon? Comment below. What do you see in today's leaders? Truth or deception? Your answer matters because your awareness shapes the storm to come. The great deception. The enemy does not come roaring in broad daylight. The enemy arrives dressed in light, cloaked in authority, speaking in tones of reassurance. The great deception has always been this: not to fight the truth, but to mimic it so perfectly that the untrained heart cannot tell the difference. Media headlines flood your mind with noise, distracting you with outrage while the real theft happens in silence. Politics dangles promises of safety and prosperity, but behind closed doors the deals are made for greed and control. False religion lifts holy texts, but twists the words until they become chains of guilt instead of rivers of freedom. Fear is their weapon. When panic rises, discernment dies. Notice how every crisis is amplified, every danger magnified. You are told the world is falling apart, and the only solution is obedience to the very voices that profit from your fear. Propaganda is not just lies, it is half-truths laced with poison designed to burrow deep into your subconscious. It plays on your hopes, your deepest yearning for meaning, and turns them against you. This is why so many wander, believing they are awake while still trapped in a dream woven by others. But you, chosen one, are called to pierce this fog. Awakening begins when you dare to ask, who profits from my fear? Who benefits when I remain silent? Who gains when I trust without question? These questions are dangerous because they break chains. History shows us the power of seeing clearly. When enslaved people realized that the stories told about their inferiority were lies, revolutions were born. When citizens saw through the polished masks of dictators, regimes fell. Seeing is power. Discernment is freedom. Consider how technology today has become both the chain and the key. Social media, meant to connect, has become the stage of manipulation, where algorithms decide what you see and what you never discover. Yet the same tool can expose corruption, amplify truth, and spark awakening when wielded with clarity. The great deception thrives on silence and blindness, but it shatters when even a few voices rise to say, "We see you." The healing truth is this: you are not powerless. Within you is the gift of discernment, the ability to sense when words do not align with spirit, when promises reek of deception. This is not paranoia, it is divine awareness. Use it, sharpen it, trust it. Do not underestimate the ripple your awakening creates. One awakened heart sparks another. A family chooses freedom over fear. A community questions the narratives fed to them. Soon the illusion cracks, and through the fracture pours light. This is why you were chosen, to carry this light in the midst of shadow. Your path is not about ego or superiority. It is about responsibility. To see clearly is to serve, to lead, to heal. The deception will try to lure you back with comfort, with distraction, with the sweet poison of belonging to the crowd. Resist. Remember, the narrow path is where freedom waits. Now the stage is set for the next revelation. If the world has been trapped in deception, then the chosen ones must rise not to escape it, but to awaken within it, to shine where the darkness is thickest. The story does not end with corruption and falsehood. It begins with your awakening, your courage, your destiny unfolding in real time. Awakening of the chosen one. To be called chosen is not to be crowned with glory, but to be entrusted with responsibility. Awakening is never about ego. It is about being stripped of illusions until only truth remains. Imagine standing in a crowded hall where everyone is laughing at shadows on the wall, convinced they are real. Then suddenly, you turn your head and see the light behind you, the source of the shadows. That moment of clarity is your awakening. You cannot unsee it. You cannot return to sleep. And now your heart pounds because you realize others are still chained, still deceived, and you must decide whether to stay silent or to speak. This awakening is a gift, but also a burden. The gift is discernment, the ability to cut through the fog of propaganda, the manipulation of fake leaders, the noise of false religion, and hear the whisper of the divine. Others may mock you, but you feel it with every fiber of your being. It is as if your soul itself recognizes when words are twisted, when truth is buried, when darkness pretends to be light. That inner compass is not random. It is your inheritance as a chosen one. Take the example of a young woman who worked in media, believing her role was neutral, just reporting facts. One day, she stumbled on documents proving that what she delivered nightly was edited, reframed, distorted for an agenda she had unknowingly served. Her entire world cracked. She left, endured ridicule, but her conscience was freed. She began to teach others how to discern, how to fact-check, how to look beyond appearances. That is awakening in action, courage meeting truth. The lesson is clear. Being chosen is not about superiority, it is about service. You have been entrusted with sight so you can guide others, not so you can boast. Your discernment is your lamp. Your courage is the oil that keeps it burning. And as you shine, you break the power of darkness in places where deception once ruled. But this requires faith, perseverance, and humility. The more light you carry, the more shadows will resist. Yet every time you stand firm, your very existence becomes a testimony that truth cannot be silenced. History of manipulation. Since the dawn of civilization, rulers have discovered that fear is the strongest chain. Pharaohs, kings, emperors, and priests knew that if you could convince people that disaster would strike unless they obeyed, you could control their bodies, their wealth, and even their souls. This pattern is as old as Babylon and as fresh as today's headlines. The tools have changed, but the spirit of manipulation remains the same. Ancient priests twisted sacred words, declaring that gods demanded endless sacrifices, keeping people in cycles of guilt and fear. Medieval kings wrapped themselves in holy approval, convincing nations that rebellion against tyranny was rebellion against God. Even now, leaders declare that safety requires surrender, that unity demands silence, that truth itself must bow to power. But the manipulation always carries the same fingerprint: distortion of truth for the sake of control. Consider how even sacred teachings have been used to justify oppression. Slavery defended with scripture, wars declared in the name of faith, fear preached from pulpits to keep hearts shackled. These were not failures of faith, but of manipulation. Wolves draped in wool, bending divine words into weapons. And the cost: generations blinded, generations silenced. A modern example: entire economies shaped by fear of scarcity. People told they must work themselves to exhaustion or else lose dignity, while corporations profit endlessly from their sweat. Fear is the altar, profit the god, and obedience the sacrifice. When you begin to see this pattern, your anger rises, but beneath the anger, clarity. The veil falls, and you understand that none of this is random. It was engineered. The small but powerful lesson is this: if fear is the chain, truth is the key. Every time you refuse to be driven by panic, every time you question the narrative, every time you choose courage over silence, you break one more link. The great manipulators lose their grip when people stop believing in their illusions. As false systems tremble, cracks appear. Whistleblowers rise, scandals leak, masks slip. The manipulation that once seemed eternal begins to collapse under its own weight. And here, at this turning point, the awakening of the chosen ones becomes critical. Your role is not just to see through the lies, but to prepare others, to lead them gently out of the fog into the fresh air of freedom. The transition is natural. The more you awaken, the more you see how fragile the deception truly is. Like a spider web glistening in the morning light, intricate yet vulnerable, it only takes one bold touch to break it. And you, chosen one, were born to touch the web. You were born to reveal its weakness, to guide others into strength. This is why you are here, and why the world now trembles at the edge of revelation. Signs of cracks appearing. The walls that once looked indestructible are beginning to tremble. What was hidden in the dark is being dragged into the light, and you can feel it in the air, like the first rumble of thunder before a storm. Whistleblowers step forward with trembling voices but unshakable courage, revealing documents, recordings, and secrets that the world was never meant to see. Scandals break open like fractures in ancient stone, showing the rot that was always there. Leaders once worshipped as untouchable icons now stumble beneath the weight of their own lies. Imagine a massive dam holding back an ocean of truth. For years it looked solid, unyielding, impossible to move. But now cracks are spreading across its surface. At first just hairline fractures, barely visible, easily dismissed. Yet those who watch closely see the water seeping through. And when water finds a way, it never stops. It widens, deepens, presses until the whole wall gives way. That is where we stand right now. The illusions that held humanity captive are weakening. Every scandal exposed is not just gossip. It is a divine signal that the false systems are collapsing. When a politician resigns in disgrace, when a corporation's hidden corruption comes to light, when a religious leader is unmasked for deceit, these are not random accidents. They are signs that the deception can no longer sustain itself. The lies are too heavy to carry. And the world is watching. But here lies the danger. When the cracks appear, many will cling tighter to the illusion. Some will double down on denial, mocking those who dare to see. Others will sink into despair, believing that collapse means chaos. Yet for the awakened, for the chosen ones, the cracks are not the end. They are the beginning of freedom. They are proof that truth is stronger than deception, that light always finds a way through the dark. Picture a man who worked inside a system of lies for decades, never questioning because his paycheck depended on silence. One day he can no longer bear it. He risks his career, his reputation, his safety to reveal the truth. The world may not thank him, but the ripple he creates is unstoppable. His courage becomes a torch for others. This is the power of cracks. They show us that even the strongest walls can be broken when truth is spoken. This is the moment to ask yourself, will you stay blind, clinging to the comfort of lies, or will you open your eyes and step into the storm of awakening? Comment with your answer, not for me, but for your own soul. Declare whether you choose truth or illusion, light or darkness. The tipping point. Every generation faces a moment when time runs out, when hesitation is no longer an option, when silence becomes betrayal. That moment is here. We are standing at the tipping point, and the choices you make today will ripple across centuries. The systems of deception know they are crumbling, and their desperation grows. They flood the world with noise, confusion, distractions. They want you paralyzed, unable to act. But you, chosen one, are being summoned to rise with urgency. History remembers those who awoke when it mattered most. Think of Martin Luther standing against the corruption of false religion, knowing his life was on the line, but declaring truth anyway. Think of Rosa Parks refusing to surrender her seat, sparking a movement that changed the world. They were not extraordinary people. They were ordinary souls who decided that the tipping point demanded courage. And because they acted, generations were transformed. Now, it is your turn. Every second of hesitation strengthens the grip of deception. Every moment spent asleep deepens the wounds of the world. But every time you choose awareness, every time you speak truth in love, every time you act with courage, you push history forward. Your life is not small. Your decisions echo far beyond your own story. Imagine a scale with two sides. On one side lies centuries of manipulation, fear, oppression. On the other side rests the fragile weight of truth, carried by only a few. For years, the scale has been tipped toward darkness. But now, your voice, your courage, your awakening is the grain of sand that could tilt the balance. That is how close we are. That is how much your choice matters. The tipping point is not just global, it is personal. Within you, there is also a battle. Will you choose comfort or courage, silence or truth, fear or faith? The moment you awaken fully, the moment you embrace your divine calling, the ripple begins. Families shift, communities stir, nations tremble. One heart at a time, the world transforms. The lesson is simple but eternal. Never underestimate the power of a single awakened soul. You are proof that deception can be broken, that chains can be shattered. And when you rise, others will follow. That is why this moment carries such urgency. You are not only saving yourself, you are shaping the legacy of generations to come. This is why the voice inside you grows louder, why you cannot ignore the pull any longer. It is divine urgency, calling you to step into your destiny. The tipping point is here. Stand tall, shine brightly, and let history remember you as one who awakened when the world needed it most. Divine gifts for the chosen. When the storm of deception rages and the world trembles at the edge of collapse, the chosen are not left defenseless. They are given armor from heaven itself, divine gifts that cut through the fog of fear and confusion. The first is clarity of mind. This is not ordinary knowledge. It is the kind of vision that sees through the smoke and mirrors, that hears the subtle dissonance when lies are spoken. Imagine walking into a crowded marketplace where every vendor screams for your attention, each promising truth, each offering certainty. Most people are overwhelmed, paralyzed, lost in noise. But you, your ears sharpen, your eyes focus, and suddenly you know which voice carries truth. That is clarity. It is like a sword of light, cutting through the web of propaganda, giving you the power to discern what others cannot. The second gift is understanding of mission. Many wander the earth wondering why they are here, chasing pleasures that never satisfy, drowning in routines that slowly kill the soul. But for the chosen, a different fire burns. When you awaken, the confusion lifts and you sense your true assignment. You realize you are not here to drift. You are here to stand, to guide, to heal, to reveal. This sense of mission is not a burden, it is fuel. It gives you strength in weakness, focus in chaos, and endurance when others collapse. Think of a lighthouse battered by waves. No matter how violent the storm, its light never flickers because it was built for this purpose. You too were built for this purpose. The third gift is spiritual strength and resilience. This is more than physical energy. It is the unshakable core that keeps you standing when the ground itself shakes. It is the whisper of divine presence in your heart when fear tries to consume you. It is the strength to forgive when bitterness tempts you, to love when hatred surrounds you, to hope when despair screams that all is lost. This resilience is like fire in your bones. You may bend, but you will not break. You may stumble, but you will rise again, stronger than before. Real stories prove this. A man loses his job after refusing to participate in corruption, but instead of despair, he discovers a deeper calling. He begins teaching others how to live with integrity, and though he earns less, his impact multiplies. Or a woman rejected by her community for questioning false leaders, who then becomes a source of courage for countless others online. These are chosen ones using their divine gifts, becoming voices of light in an age of shadows. These gifts are not for display, they are for battle. They are your armor, your shield, your light. When the world falls into panic, you will remain grounded. When manipulation rises, you will see clearly. When false systems collapse, you will know your role. This is your preparation, your empowerment, your inheritance as one who was never meant to walk blind. Comment below, what gift do you feel stirring in your life right now? Is it clarity, mission, or resilience? Your answer is your declaration that you are awakening. The curtain pulled back. For generations, the world has been stage-managed by unseen hands, secret powers, orchestrating events with precision and silence. Wars, economies, even cultural shifts, none of it random. Behind the curtain, elites gathered in hidden rooms, whispering strategies to keep humanity subdued. They built systems like cages, painted them as freedom, and most people never questioned the play unfolding before their eyes. But the curtain is being pulled back, and once you glimpse the machinery behind the illusion, you cannot return to ignorance. Whistleblowers, leaks, documents, and brave truth-tellers are tearing at the fabric of secrecy. We see how media headlines are manufactured, how crises are engineered, how fear is weaponized. What once seemed unshakable now looks like smoke and mirrors. Humanity is beginning to realize that division was never natural. It was designed. Separation by race, by creed, by nation, by wealth. All tactics to keep us distracted while control tightened. But awakening reveals the truth. Beneath the illusions, we are one family. Across the world, unity is rising. Farmers in one nation protest injustice, and their voices inspire others across oceans. Spiritual seekers in one culture discover truths that mirror those in another. Movements for justice, for freedom, for dignity erupt simultaneously in places that never met, yet burn with the same fire. This is not coincidence. It is collective awakening. It is as if a sleeping giant is stirring, stretching across continents, refusing to be bound any longer. Unity does not erase individuality. It honors diversity while creating strength. Like a choir where every voice is unique, yet together they form a harmony powerful enough to shake the earth. This is the new reality breaking through the old lies. And this unity terrifies the deceivers, because when people join hands, their illusions collapse. The healing power here is profound. You are not alone. When you rise, others rise with you. When you speak, others find their voice. When you shine, others discover their light. Together, you form a network of awakened souls, a web of truth that no system can destroy. Think of how a candle in the dark seems fragile, but if one candle lights another, and that one lights another, soon the entire night is ablaze. That is happening now across the globe, and you, chosen one, are part of that fire. The lesson is simple but transformative. Unity is the antidote to deception. As the curtain falls and the machinery of lies is revealed, it is unity that will build the new story. This is the sign of hope, the proof that humanity's spirit is alive and rising. Stay ready, because the storm ahead will be fierce. But the light being born is stronger still. Preparation for the storm. The storm is no longer distant. It is gathering now, and you can feel it pressing against the walls of your life like a wind that refuses to be silenced. The world around you trembles with confusion, division, and chaos. But the chosen are not called to fear. You are called to prepare, to anchor yourself so deeply that when the storm breaks, you stand unshaken. Preparation is not panic. It is wisdom. It is the difference between a house built on sand and a house built on rock. Begin with your body, for your body is the vessel through which your mission flows. Take care of it as a sacred temple. Nourish it with food that gives life. Move it with energy. Rest it with reverence. In a time when the world feeds on poison, fast lies, fast food, fast distractions, you must choose what sustains, not what destroys. When your body is steady, your spirit has space to breathe. Prepare your mind. This is your greatest weapon. Guard it fiercely. Media will try to drown you with fear. Politicians will flood you with false promises, and false religion will attempt to chain you with guilt. Do not allow your mind to be enslaved. Feed it truth, wisdom, and clarity. Read, reflect, meditate. Silence the noise so that you can hear the whisper of divine guidance. Like a warrior sharpening a blade, sharpen your thoughts until they cut through deception like fire through straw. Above all, prepare your spirit, for it is not muscle that wins the war of awakening, but faith. Cultivate your connection with the divine through prayer, through stillness, through surrender. Let your spirit be rooted like a tree planted by rivers of living water. When winds rage, such a tree does not fall. When drought comes, its roots reach deeper into the unseen source. This is your resilience. A real story paints it clearly. During the collapse of an empire, a man kept his family safe, not because he had wealth or power, but because he had inner strength. He refused to let fear govern his choices. While neighbors panicked, he prayed. While others surrendered to hopelessness, he taught his children courage. His family survived, not because the storm was small, but because their foundation was unshakable. That same strength is being offered to you now. This preparation is not only for you, it is for those around you who will look to your light when their own grows dim. Comment below. How are you preparing your mind, body, and spirit for the storm? Your answer may awaken someone else to begin their own preparation. True divine power. The world has confused power with domination, wealth, and ego. But true divine power is not about control, it is about alignment. It is the quiet authority of one who walks in truth, the magnetic presence of one who leads through service, the unshakable peace of one who knows they are guided. When you awaken, this power begins to rise within you. It is not given by kings or systems. It flows directly from the divine, and it cannot be taken away. Divine power is the authority to speak truth when lies surround you, the courage to forgive when bitterness is expected, the grace to lift others even when you yourself are weary. It is the ability to manifest abundance not by greed, but by integrity. This is the kind of power that multiplies blessings. When you act in alignment with love and justice, resources align, opportunities appear, doors open. You begin to see miracles in the everyday, the right person appearing at the right time, the impossible becoming possible, the unseen hand of God guiding your steps. History shines with examples of this. Moses stood before Pharaoh not with armies, but with divine authority, and empires crumbled. David faced Goliath not with size or weapons, but with faith, and giants fell. In modern times, countless men and women with no political influence, no wealth, no fame, have changed history through acts of courage and compassion. That is true divine power. It does not roar, but it reshapes the world. The lesson here is crucial. If you seek power for ego, it will corrode you. If you seek power for service, it will crown you. The chosen are not called to hoard light, but to radiate it. Every time you act with integrity when no one is watching, every time you choose compassion over cruelty, you are wielding divine power. And this power does not fade, it grows. Practical manifestation of divine power begins with your thoughts and words. Speak life, not death. Declare truth, not fear. Align your actions with the highest good, and watch how your influence expands. A mother who chooses to love her children despite her exhaustion, a worker who refuses to compromise their integrity for profit, a leader who listens instead of dominates. These are acts of divine power in motion. They ripple outwards, touching lives in ways you may never see. The challenge for the chosen is to remember that true leadership is service. When you rise, others rise with you. When you shine, others discover their light. This is why divine power is not a weapon to oppress, but a lamp to guide. You may not realize it yet, but you already carry this power. Every moment you resist deception, every time you choose faith over fear, every decision rooted in love rather than selfishness, this is divine authority flowing through you. It is not a crown placed on your head by men, but a fire placed in your soul by God. Now the call is clear. prepare yourself, and then step boldly into your true divine power. Let your life become a living testimony that the greatest strength is not domination, but love. That the greatest wealth is not gold, but wisdom. That the greatest authority is not control, but truth lived out in action. And when you embrace this, you become unstoppable, not because you are mighty, but because the divine moves through you. Building the new world. As the false systems crumble and the illusions collapse under their own weight, a new dawn begins to break through the clouds. The chosen are not merely witnesses to this shift, they are the architects of a new world built on truth, justice, healing, and compassion. Imagine a city rising from the ruins of an empire, not built with stone or steel alone, but with courage, kindness, and vision. Every word you speak, every act of love you give, every decision you make becomes a brick in this radiant foundation. This new world is not handed down by rulers or decrees, it is birthed through awakened souls like you. When you reject deception, you clear space for honesty. When you choose forgiveness, you create room for reconciliation. When you lead with humility, you plant seeds of lasting peace. The new world grows one choice at a time, and your life is one of the sacred blueprints. Think of the mother who chooses to raise her children with truth instead of fear, teaching them to question, to love, to discern. Or the teacher who refuses to conform to false systems of education, instead inspiring students to think deeply and live authentically. Or the community that gathers not to gossip about corruption, but to support one another in building solutions. These are the quiet revolutions that will outlast empires. Do not underestimate the power of your role. When you choose to embody compassion, when you refuse to bow to corruption, when you speak life into a broken world, you are literally constructing the architecture of the future. Comment below. What brick will you lay today in this building of truth? Your answer is more than words. It is a declaration that you are part of this divine construction. The rewards of the faithful. The path of awakening is not easy. It is paved with ridicule, sacrifice, and moments of deep loneliness. But the divine never leaves the faithful empty-handed. The rewards of those who remain steadfast are not only material, but spiritual, eternal, overflowing. Peace replaces turmoil. Clarity replaces confusion. Joy bursts forth where sorrow once reigned, and abundance flows, not as greed, but as provision aligned with your mission. This abundance takes many forms. Financial blessings come, yes, but they are never the goal. They are the fuel for greater service. Resources flow toward integrity, opening doors where walls once stood. But the deeper reward is the transformation of your soul. Fear no longer dictates your decisions. Anxiety no longer chains your nights. You wake each morning with strength, with purpose, with radiant gratitude. That is the true wealth of the chosen. Real lives reveal this truth. A man who stood against corporate corruption, losing his career, later found himself leading a global movement for justice. He had less money in the bank, but his life overflowed with impact and honor. Or a woman who chose to forgive the betrayal that nearly destroyed her family. Years later, she found her home filled with peace, her children thriving, her heart healed. These are the rewards that cannot be bought, only given by the divine to those who endure. The lesson is this: every sacrifice is seed. Every moment of faithfulness is an investment in eternity. What you give in courage, you reap in strength. What you sow in love, you reap in joy. The divine cycle ensures that nothing you do in truth is wasted. Comment your thoughts. What reward do you value most? Peace, clarity, joy, or abundance? Your reflection may open the eyes of someone else still doubting the journey. Restoration and renewal, awakening, is not only about breaking deception. It is about returning to who you were created to be. Restoration is the divine gift that comes after battle, a healing of wounds, a rekindling of dreams once thought lost. Renewal is like rain falling on scorched earth, causing seeds buried long ago to sprout into vibrant life. Many have wandered through years of doubt, carrying scars of failure, shame, or rejection. But the time of wandering ends with restoration. Your true calling awakens, your hidden gifts rise to the surface, your spirit finds strength again. What was stolen from you through manipulation is returned, multiplied, refined by fire. Picture a man who gave up on his talent because the world mocked him. Years later, after awakening, he rediscovers his gift and begins to use it, not for applause, but for service. His joy returns, his purpose flourishes. Or a woman whose heart was shattered by betrayal, who thought she would never trust again. Through healing, her heart softens, love returns, and her spirit shines brighter than ever. This is the promise of renewal. What seemed broken beyond repair becomes a masterpiece of resilience. The divine does not merely patch your wounds, it transforms them into scars of glory, reminders that you survived, that you overcame, that you rose stronger. Renewal is not just recovery, it is rebirth. It is stepping into a new version of yourself, radiant with wisdom, anchored in truth, alive with possibility. And this restoration is not for you alone. As you are healed, you carry healing for others. As you rise, you lift others with you. Your story becomes proof that no wound is too deep, no past too broken, no dream too lost. You become living testimony that the divine restores all things. The journey does not end with restoration. It prepares you for destiny. The cracks in the world are widening, the tipping point has come, and the chosen are rising with gifts, with rewards, with renewed hearts, ready to build the new world. The next step is legacy, a destiny that will ripple far beyond your lifetime. And now, chosen one, as the echoes of truth settle in your chest, you know this is not the end, but the beginning. The great deception has been unveiled, the signs of awakening are all around you, and your spirit has been stirred for a reason. You were not placed here by accident. You were handpicked, called, awakened to carry light into a world that has been drowning in shadows for far too long. Every breath you take from this moment carries purpose. Every step you walk leaves behind ripples of destiny. You are not just surviving, you are shaping legacies, transforming generations, rewriting what the future will look like. This is your time to rise. The voices of fake leaders and false religion will try to drown you in noise, but your clarity is stronger. The systems of corruption will try to cage you in fear, but your courage is unbreakable. You carry gifts that cannot be stolen. Clarity of mind, a divine mission, and a resilient spirit. These are not fragile treasures. They are your armor for the storm, your shield against lies, your strength when the world shakes. When others collapse, you will stand. When others despair, you will shine. And in your light, countless others will awaken. The storm ahead is real. But storms do not last forever. Every empire of deception collapses. Every system built on lies eventually crumbles under its own weight. But the faithful remain, and the chosen endure. The dawn always breaks after the longest night, and when it does, the new world will need builders, healers, visionaries, and leaders anchored in truth. That is why your awakening matters. That is why you are here. The world is not waiting for someone else. It is waiting for you. Close your eyes and imagine the generations to come looking back at this very moment. They will not remember the excuses people gave for staying silent. They will remember those who chose courage when it was dangerous, those who walked in truth when lies were easier, those who carried hope when despair screamed the loudest. Let history write your name among them. Let eternity echo that you did not waste your calling. Let the heavens testify that when your moment came, you answered. The rewards of the faithful are already unfolding. Peace in the midst of chaos, clarity in a sea of confusion, joy where sorrow once reigned, abundance that flows not as greed but as provision aligned with your mission. These blessings are not just for you. They are meant to spill over, to heal your family, to inspire your community, to uplift those still bound by deception. That is the cycle of grace. You are blessed to be a blessing, filled so you can pour out, healed so you can heal others. And as you are restored, as your true gifts awaken, your scars will no longer be marks of shame, but of survival, testimony that darkness tried but could not win. Every wound becomes wisdom. Every loss becomes seed. Every tear becomes rain for someone else's harvest. Renewal is your portion. Restoration is your inheritance. You are not the broken version of yourself the world tried to convince you of. You are the radiant soul the divine always knew you could be. But with every gift comes responsibility. Your influence will grow, and when it does, remember that true power is not domination, but service. Lead with humility, shine with compassion, build with integrity. The greatest legacy you can leave is not wealth or fame, but lives transformed by your courage, your truth, your love. That is how you will be remembered. That is how your name will echo beyond time. So I ask you, chosen one, what will you do with this awakening? Will you bury it under fear, or will you rise into the fullness of your calling? Will you let deception tighten its grip, or will you break the chains for yourself and for others? Comment your answer below, because your words carry weight. They may ignite someone else's awakening, spark someone else's courage, pull someone else out of the shadows. Do not underestimate the ripple you create. If this message touched your soul, if you felt truth burning in your chest, then do not let it end here. Like this video so it reaches those who are still asleep. Subscribe so you never miss the revelations waiting for you. And if this brought light to you in a dark season, if it gave you clarity when confusion was loud, if it reminded you that you are not alone, then I invite you to share a little of your energy back. Every act of support, no matter how small, is a seed that allows me to keep creating, to keep speaking truth, to keep lifting up voices the world tried to silence. If you have ever been blessed by these words, know that your encouragement is priceless to me. The future is not written yet, but it is being shaped right now by every choice you make, every truth you live, every spark of courage you release. You are chosen not to survive the storm, but to lead through it. You are chosen not to hide your light, but to set it on a hill where all can see. You are chosen not to walk in fear, but to stand in faith, to rise in strength, to shine with healing, and to leave behind a legacy that will transform generations. So rise, chosen one. The time is now. The storm is here, but so is your power. The deception is great, but the awakening is greater. You are not just a witness to history, you are the one rewriting it, and the world is waiting for your light.